Howdy, folks. Me again, Shannon Fox here, the Road to Patriots 2 channel, and I've got lots of great news for you, mostly about Trump's picks, who he's going to put in office. Said he's going to put Lee Zeldin in as EPA Environmental Protection Agency Secretary, meaning he will run that whole entire department. Great job, great choice. And we got Stephen Miller, who is one of my all-time favorite patriots here in the country, who's been fighting against the Biden administration and the corrupt government for a good part of 8 years with his America First legal organization. And we've got a border czar that Trump has picked as well. He's a former ICE director. His name is Mr. Holman. We got a little bit of information and clips from all the above. But more than that, Trump is putting the people that are bold enough to actually carry out the America First policies. It includes deporting millions of people when it comes time. And they're already getting this ball rolling. Let me go ahead and read you a little bit about Stephen Miller, and then we'll listen to a little bit of Stephen Miller as well. He's one of the good guys. I mentioned him on this channel many a day because he's always fighting the government in one way or another by suing the crap out of them, including trying to close our border and stop all this wasteful spending and so many other things. All right, folks. Let me scroll down here where I can actually see. It says Miller, who served as a senior advisor for Trump during his first administration, has been a leading advocate for more restrictive immigration policies and is expected to take on an expanded role in the president-elect's second term. Miller has also led the lead architect of Trump's plan for mass deportation of undocumented immigrants. He has said that the second Trump administration would seek a tenfold increase in the number of deportations to more than 1 million per year. I'm told it was probably going to be closer to 2 million. But at any rate, this guy has been there since the beginning. A lot of the Remain in Mexico asylum rules that Trump dialed back with his executive orders in 2016, a lot of these policies were Stephen Miller and Jason Miller's brainchild. So let's go ahead and watch a little bit of Stephen Miller. He's been on the news so many times I can't even tell you. But he's at CPAC, and I thought this would just explain a little bit about him if you don't know the guy. Here we go.
This disaster, this invasion of our southern border?
Well, as I say sometimes, the immigration issue is extremely simple. The policies involved in fixing it are very complicated. The simple part is seal the border, deport all the illegals. Now, that's the short answer, right? You get in, you have two policy objectives that you proceed with utter determination on. Seal the border, no illegals in, everyone here goes out. That's very straightforward. In terms of the policy sets to accomplish this, as President Trump showed in his first term, it's a series of interlocking domestic and foreign policies to accomplish this goal. In no particular order, to rattle off a few fast, you have your Safe Third agreements, you have Remain in Mexico, finish the wall, you have robust prosecutions of illegal aliens, you do interior repatriation flights to Mexico, not back to the north of Mexico. It's very important. You re-implement Title 42. You have several muscular 212Fs, that's the travel ban authority. We did a few of those in the Trump administration. You would bring those back and add new ones on top of that. You would establish large-scale staging grounds for removal flights. So you grab illegal immigrants and then you move them to the staging grounds, and that's where the planes are waiting for federal law enforcement to then move those illegals home. You deputize the National Guard to carry out immigration enforcement, and then you also deploy the military to the southern border, not just with a mission to observe, but with an impedance and denial mission. In other words, you reassert the fundamental constitutional principle that you don't have a right to enter into our sovereign territory, to even request the asylum claim. The military has the right to establish a fortress position on the border and to say no one can cross here at all.
That's right. Yes. That is what I'm talking about. That's Stephen Miller, folks. Now, I want to show y'all something at the bottom of this page, and I've been noticing this a lot lately. You see these words right here? It says 2024 states elections. The AP, the Associated Press, has called the presidential race for Donald Trump with not 100% of the vote in. See more details on Google, and you can open up this tab and look, and it'll show what states that haven't called the Senate races and all that, and they go into full explanation of why they called it the way it is, even though 100% of the vote still ain't in because some states are still counting, like California and Arizona, and I think Nevada's done now. I hope so. But absolutely, Pennsylvania having some issues with the slow count, and we know what that's all about. But it is kind of strange that Associated Press is now the disclaimer over Wiki. It used to be a Wikipedia or Google comments, Google community notes, throwing that disclaimer up there for you every time you talked about elections, and they had to throw that. Not enough widespread voter fraud to blah blah the election. Uh, Now the disclaimer is the 2024 race has been decided, but it's been called because AP decided it so. Who is Associated Press to be the ones to decide who won the race? We know who won the race. We've seen it on TV. We've seen the map. We've seen it all go down. But for some reason, a week after the election, they're still sliding this disclaimer in there. What is really going on with that? Is that because we're going to have contested elections in some way or another? Not that she can dial back 32 or 42 points that she would need in electoral votes, even with their shenanigans. But I'm thinking this maybe has something to do with the fact that these other races, at least Senate races and stuff, and down ballot races are still not being called. Maybe that's why, but it seems kind of strange to me. A little off topic, but that's a weird one. Tell me what you think in the comment section down below about what that disclaimer is all about. Now, this guy here is Mr. Holman, Tom Holman. He is picked as the borders are, and this guy is something else too. Check it out, folks. This guy is on fire.
Hey, look,
Trump's
they gave me 5 minutes. Hey, look, they gave me 5 minutes to say a few things. So if I offend anybody tonight, I don't give a shit. How many pounds of fentanyl didn't make in this country to kill Americans? How many known suspected terrorists didn't make it in the country? How many billions of dollars did the cartels make? President Trump is one badass president. He secured the border at the level we've never seen before. And I got a message to the millions of illegal aliens that's been released into the United States under this administration. Don't get too comfortable. We're going to need some help. Do I have any volunteers that want to come back and help run the biggest deportation operation in the history of this nation? In January of 25, the greatest president of my lifetime walking back in the White House. He tells me we got, I say 120 days. He says, no, you got 60 to lock the border down. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what I told the president. He comes back, I come back, we fix this shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of guy we need in charge. As a matter of fact, I have a video I think I put out a couple of days ago, and he had a clip of I had a clip on there where he was talking on 60 Minutes, and 60 Minutes host asked him, "What are you going to do to prevent people from being separated from their families if you come to get the illegals and they're not all illegal?" He said, "That's okay. They can go with them." I just thought that was gold. He said, "We're not here to separate families. If we got to send half of them home, the other half want to go with them, you're welcome to leave." Are you tired of winning, folks? We got some good news. Now, this is about the only shitty news I've seen all week as far as what's going on behind the scenes. They're having secret votes on Wednesday in the Senate in order to find out who's going to be the next Senate leader, which has to be done since we took the majority by I think 3 points. I think we got 53, maybe 54 in the Senate by the time it's all said and done. Um, they're already trying to contest the Pennsylvania race for McCormick, but I don't think that's going to work. But at any rate, the uniparty rhinos that are in control of half the Senate and half the House are now trying to claw back power and trying to put in a couple of rhinos as our Senate leader. They're trying to put in John Thune and John Cornyn. John Cornyn is a rhino from Texas, and I can't stand the guy. The guy is horrible. He hates Trump. He thinks the J6 prisoners ought to be locked up indefinitely. This guy's just bad news for the country. As a matter of fact, he's got a housing development here in South Texas. I'm talking about John Cornyn, and it's called Colony Ridge. Go look it up if you want to. And it's a huge. He's a developer for a huge tract home housing project here in South Texas, and it's all about uh, setting up housing for the newcomers. If you know what I'm talking about, folks. So John Cornyn is making a killing off our open border situation, and he is promotes the Ukrainian war and promotes open borders. He's a horrible senator, one of the worst in the country as far as I'm concerned. And yes, he's a Texas representative. I hate to say that, but it is a fact. But the infighting right now is the American people on Twitter and so many people like Vivek and Elon Musk and just about every reporter over there, Julie Kelly, Megan Kelly, Miranda Devine, anybody with any, Dan Bongino, anybody with any kind of voiceover on Twitter, uh, especially a lot of these investigative journalists are screaming at the top of their lungs. Tucker Carlson screaming at the top of their lungs, no, we need Rick Scott or J.D. Vance as the Senate Majority Leader. Matter of fact, J.D. Vance can do the job as VP. He's already the president of the Senate. He could be Majority Leader of the Senate too if they wanted to go that route. But as a matter of fact, I think the best answer is probably put Rick Scott in there from Florida. But it looks like from all the numbers so far of people have been trying to figure out who these 54 Republicans are going to vote for, it looks like they're tied between Thune and Cornyn, and they're basically leaving our guy out of the loop. So I encourage everybody to call your representative, and I'll give you the number before we're done here. Get a pen and a paper ready, and just tell them, look, call your state representative at this Senate phone number. Tell them, look, I'm from this state, and I want to tell my representative, if yours is Ted Cruz or being our other senator here, tell them I do not support these other two clowns. I support Rick Scott only. And if we flood the circuit boards, and there's several channels are doing this, if we flood the circuit boards with phone calls with your disgust for the situation without being ugly, and tell them you prefer, as a constituent, that they elect Rick Scott as our representative or J.D. Vance, whichever you prefer. But at any rate, we can do that to actually help the situation because people are pissed off about it. It's the rhinos trying to hold on to Senate leadership while everybody else that has heard about this is screaming, no, not these two. They're two horrible rhinos. It's like putting Kevin McCarthy and Mitch McConnell together to try to run something. It's not going to work, folks. Now, you got your pen and paper ready for all those that I know that care enough to actually make the phone call and harass these folks a little bit. Not harass, but harass these folks a little bit. All right, here's the phone number right here, folks. It says call your senator. It's 202 224 3121. And I'm going to say it again. Call your senator and let him know you want Rick Scott. 202 224 3121. It's the least we can do, folks. I'll be doing it first thing in the morning. See if I can catch the switchboard open. All right, folks. Now let's get into some news. Or should I say another clip? Now, this is one of the things that so many times in the last 2 days I've seen John Corin and Mr. Thune's words being played back to him, whether it be a video clip of them saying something in Congress or whether it be one of their tweets back at another individual, and just showing who they really are. Here is just an example of what a piece of shit John Cornyn is. Now, Ken Paxton, here's the backstory on this tweet. Ken Paxton, months ago, they tried to impeach him here in Texas. Dave Fellon here in the House in Texas tried to impeach Ken Paxton and charge him with a felony for money laundering or some kind of scandal here. I forget all the details, but they tried to get rid of Ken Paxton because they wanted to do the nasty to us during the election process, and Ken Paxton ain't having it. But it didn't work out. The plan got foiled. But while this was going on, one of our own senators, John Cornyn, tweets to Ken Paxton, hard to run from prison, Ken, because Ken Paxton was fixing to be running for office in this whole hit piece. He's become a criminal, hit the airways. You know how they do it with their smash pieces. Says it will be difficult for John Cornyn to be an effective leader since He is anti-Trump, anti-gun, and will be focused on his highly competitive primary campaign in 2026. And we're going to primary his ass in 2026. We got to find us a better Texan than this guy. Says Republicans deserve better in their next leader, and Texans deserve another conservative senator. That is a fact. 2026, one of our goals here in Texas will be to get rid of this guy, put in a decent Republican, because this guy is trash. Just my opinion. But I can show you tweets of both of these guys where they have just said some bad things about the J6 prisoners, about Trump, called him an insurrectionist. These guys are not on Team Trump. They're on Team Self, and they want to be the leader, and we're not having it. Hopefully, the voice will get loud enough between Twitter, tweets, between phone calls, between public dissent, between all the news media starting to cover this finally. Maybe Trump will make a statement and ask everybody in the Senate to vote for his guy, Rick Scott. Hopefully, that's what's going to happen. But at any rate, it's Twitter's lit up behind this, as it should be. I'm glad to see the citizen journalists are making a difference in public policy. As a matter of fact, somebody said on a tweet earlier that Tucker Carlson is literally holding campaigns for everybody involved in these coming up races, especially like the Senate race, by asking the right questions and then polling people about the questions on his Twitter channel. And it just shows that we're becoming active participants in our government process, including picking our leaders. I love it, folks. We need to
We have the foot.
we need to have some say in what's going on in this country. Secret ballots, secret votes on Wednesday afternoon when nobody's paying attention. I don't think so. We got to blow this up. So be sure and call your representative. Doesn't hurt none to spend 5 extra minutes harassing them with just your opinion. All right, folks. Now I'm only going to play you a couple of minutes of this. If you want to watch the full video, it's over on my channel. About 5 or 6 clips down on my profile. This is Alex Jones, InfoWars. Like I said, I'll play the first couple of minutes, but this explains how they weren't able to beat us up in Pennsylvania this time with the late night ballot drops. Bet I get a disclaimer over this one.
We have the footage in Pennsylvania and Michigan and Georgia at again midnight. All these trucks pulling up, all these cars pulling up with California plates, Rhode Island plates, trying to carry in these magic ballot boxes. But there were so many Trump lawyers and people inside. At a certain point, they just said, let's not even try it. They tried the exact same thing. We were on the air at 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock Eastern. We saw it stop when Trump was ahead in the key battlegrounds. Owen and I both said, looks like they're about to try it again. Trump better get out there and talk about this. But at some point, they blinked. Because as you said, all those states were unified, doing the same thing at the same time. The counting magically stops. Just like in 2020, I thought they might start putting up the paper over the windows. But this time, the Trump people had sued. They weren't able to keep them out. And so I think in the face of the police and the poll watchers and the lawyers, they went, we just can't do this anymore. This is too obvious. And boom, then we saw Trump win. I mean, I think that's not even conjecture. That's what happened.
100%. And if history's any guide, the MAGA movement, conservatives, they can't count on this just lucking out again next time. There needs to be, like I said, an absolute jihad. We are still within the statute of limitations for 2020. They can be frozen, in my understanding, about filing suits. And just off the top of my head, because we track this, and I don't know all the specific details, I'm the pollster, right? Is that there are at least 3 things, very specific things that.
If you don't know, this is Mark Mitchell from Rasmussen poll. He's the man.
A little bit of transparency and some hard questions. Maybe a court hearing or two would help us get to the bottom of. For instance, who paid for those freaking mail trucks? For instance, I'm pretty sure there's a stash of ballots in Atlanta under lock and key right now that a human needs to look at. And I think we need to get to the answers about, for instance, at least why there are a whole bunch of ballots in Arizona that are printed on the wrong kind of paper. Those have never been heard by a court. And there's a million other examples just like that. And again, this isn't stuff that's conjecture. It's stuff that's
been part of, like, they did a massive audit in Arizona. This stuff was recorded and filed with sworn depositions. This stuff exists. This stuff with the Postal Service trucks, it's being heard in court cases. Trump can come in and tell us who paid for those trucks. I think just that question alone, it should be up there with the JFK files and the alien stuff. Absolutely. And
that would be some awesome exposure, folks. Not to just bring these cases back to court, but have the actual suspects brought to court explaining why they were using these vehicles to inject ballots into the election during 2020 in the middle of the night. Oh, this could get so ugly so fast for these folks. I'm loving this. I'm loving the thought of all the exposure that's coming down the pike, folks. I'm excited. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm excited to find out who we're going to have on Trump's team, and I'm excited to find out just how fast we can get some of this corruption ended, exposed, and prosecuted. Glory days, folks. Glory be to God for what he allowed to happen. Thank God everybody showed up. Now, this here is a public service message from Trump, just another one of these great ideas that he put out here. He's put out several of these in the last couple of days about what he's going to do about the whole transgender movement, what he's going to do about the open border, what he's going to do to fix the economy. And here's another one.
And one other thing I'll be doing very early in the administration is closing up the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., and sending all education and education work and needs back to the states. We want them to run the education of our children because they'll do a much better job of it. You can't do worse. We spend more money per pupil by 3 times than any other nation, and yet we're absolutely at the bottom. We're one of the worst. So you can't do worse. We're going to end education coming out of Washington, D.C. We're going to close it up, all those buildings all over the place, and you have people that in many cases hate our children. We're going to send it all back to the states. Thank you very much. And one other thing
That will fix a lot. That will kill a lot of that DEI stuff because states will not be able to get any kind of federal funding at all if they promote any of these shenanigans that we don't want for our children. This whole trans confusionism movement. Great things are coming, folks. Trump's promises, I believe, are going to come to fruition. And not just because Trump's going to make them all happen, but because he's going to have the right team to help him make it happen. He's got over 5,000 positions he's got to assign over the next 70 days, and only a handful of them have to be confirmed. So it's a total win, folks. I love it. I love it. Last video clip of the day, folks. Figured I'd bring you a ha-ha just to top it off. Now, this here is a little bit of parody, satire, or however you want to call it, but I think this lady is great. Talking about her vote not counting.
You know what? I'm getting pissed off. It's been 72 hours since Trump been elected, and we are not getting what we voted for. We're not. And I'm pissed about it. I'm pissed because I could have sworn that these celebrities and these women on The View and all these places said that if we voted Trump in, that they was going to leave the country. And now I saw that the View, they showing up in black dresses just to mourn the president election, Trump being elected. That is not what y'all promised us. Y'all said that if we voted for Trump, that they will leave the country, and y'all ain't boarded a plane yet. And I'm getting frustrated. Trump, you got to do something about this, because I thought our vote was going to count. We did vote for that. That's what they not understanding. We voted for y'all to leave the country.
That's right.
I thought that I would be seeing airlines being, filled up. Tickets would be hard to get because all the celebrities, all of Hollywood, all of these politicians, these journalists that said that if you get elected, that they was going to board the plane and leave. I can't no more. Our vote ain't counting already, y'all. I guess maybe I'll give him another week, but time is ticking. Get on the plane. All right.
Oh, that's golden. I love it. I love it. Like, subscribe, and share to Vote of Patriots. Everybody have a great day. Hopefully you enjoyed. See you about this time tomorrow. Over and out.